What happens when two legends step into the same arena, knowing only one moment will define them forever? On one side, the lightning-fast master who redefined martial arts, Bruce Lee. On the other, a powerhouse of strength and precision, a champion feared across the world, Chuck Norris. No rules, no limits, just skill, speed, and raw dominance. The air is tense. Every move could be the last. Every strike carries the weight of pride, legacy, and unstoppable will. This isn't just a fight. It's a clash of philosophies, a battle between two icons whose names alone command respect, and when it begins, there's no turning back. Speed versus power becomes instantly visible the moment Bruce Lee takes his stance, his body light, relaxed, almost unpredictable. Every movement he makes is sharp, calculated, and incredibly fast, striking before the eye can fully register what just happened. In contrast, Chuck Norris stands grounded and composed, carrying a presence built on strength, durability, and controlled aggression. His strikes may not be as fast, but each one carries the potential to end the fight in a single moment. Bruce relies on fluidity, constant motion, and rapid combinations that overwhelm the senses, while Chuck waits for the perfect opening, ready to counter with devastating force. The rhythm of the fight becomes a contrast of styles, where speed tries to outmaneuver power, and power waits patiently to break through speed. The clash of mindset becomes just as intense as the physical exchange, with Bruce Lee representing a revolutionary approach through Jeet Kune Do, built on adaptability, freedom, and the idea of absorbing what is useful while discarding what is not. His movements reflect unpredictability, constantly evolving in response to the moment, refusing to be bound by rigid patterns. Opposite him, Chuck Norris embodies traditional martial arts discipline, where structure, repetition, and perfected techniques form the foundation of every move. His mindset is rooted in patience, control, and respect for form, trusting years of training to guide his actions under pressure. This battle is not just about who strikes harder or faster, but whose philosophy can dominate under stress, where freedom challenges structure and tradition attempts to contain unpredictability. The turning point arrives in a split second, when the balance of the fight begins to shift and every movement carries greater consequence. Bruce Lee, who once controlled the pace with speed and fluid combinations, starts to face resistance as his rhythm is disrupted. Chuck Norris, patient and observant, begins to read the patterns, timing his counters with increasing precision. A single exchange changes everything, where an attack is no longer just offense but a risk that could be turned against its creator. The energy in the fight transforms, no longer fast and flowing but tense and calculated, as both fighters realize. The margin for error has disappeared. Every step, every strike, every breath now matters more than before, and the momentum begins to lean toward the one who can adapt faster under pressure. The fight evolves into something far greater than a contest of skill, becoming a defining moment in the legacy of two martial arts icons. Bruce Lee carries not just his speed and technique into the battle, but an entire philosophy that challenged the traditional boundaries of martial arts, pushing for freedom, expression, and constant evolution. Every movement he makes reflects years of innovation, breaking away from rigid systems to create something uniquely his own. Opposite him, Chuck Norris represents discipline, structure, and the strength of tradition, a fighter shaped by countless hours of practice, repetition, and mastery of established techniques. His presence in the fight symbolizes the power of consistency and the belief that perfected fundamentals can withstand any challenge. As the battle intensifies, it becomes clear that this is not just about victory in the moment, but about what each fighter represents to the world watching. Bruce embodies change, speed, and the future of martial arts, while Chuck stands as a pillar of strength, resilience, and the enduring value of classical training. Each exchange between them feels symbolic, as if two different eras are colliding in real time, testing which path holds greater truth under pressure. The audience is no longer just witnessing a fight, but a story unfolding, where identity, belief, and legacy are all on the line. With every passing second, the weight of history builds, and the outcome begins to shape how both fighters will be remembered. This battle becomes a reference point, a moment people will return to when discussing greatness, influence, and impact. It defines not only their strengths and weaknesses, but also their place in martial arts culture, where one represents transformation and the other represents tradition, leaving behind an image that continues to inspire, debate, and captivate audiences across generations. The silence around them feels heavier than the fight itself, as both warriors circle with growing awareness that every second is carving history. Bruce Lee no longer moves just with speed but with intention, his eyes locked, reading every shift, in balance, every breath, every subtle change in stance. Across from him, Chuck Norris stands unshaken, his composure turning into quiet pressure, forcing the pace to slow into something far more dangerous and deliberate. A sudden exchange breaks, the tension fast and explosive, where strikes are no longer tested but committed. Bruce launches forward with a burst of precision, chaining movements so fluidly they seem almost invisible, forcing Chuck to react instantly. But Chuck doesn't retreat. He absorbs, adjusts, and answers back with power that cuts through the rhythm, making every counter feel like a statement rather than a response. The distance between them becomes a battlefield of inches, where timing replaces speed and control outweighs aggression. The fight begins to change shape again, no longer about who can dominate outright, but who can impose their will in the smallest moments. Bruce shifts angles, refusing to stay predictable, creating openings where none should exist, while Chuck tightens his defense, closing gaps, forcing Bruce to take greater risks just to maintain pressure. Every clash echoes with intensity, each impact carrying not just force, but meaning. Fatigue starts to creep in, not as weakness but as a test of discipline. Breathing grows heavier, movement slightly slower, yet the focus sharpens even more. Bruce's strikes become more selective, sharper, almost surgical, while Chuck's counters grow more decisive, each one aimed with full commitment. The space between them feels charged, like a single mistake could end everything in an instant. Then comes a moment that changes the energy completely. A hesitation, barely noticeable but enough. Bruce reads it, steps in, and unleashes a sequence that pushes Chuck back for the first time, breaking his grounded stance. The shift is small but powerful, like the balance of the fight tilting just enough to be felt. The pressure builds rapidly, turning seconds into something intense and unforgiving. Chuck regains his footing, but now the dynamic has changed. He is no longer just controlling, he is responding, forced into a rhythm he did not choose. Bruce senses it, increasing the pace again, blending speed with precision, refusing to let the moment slip away. The fight becomes faster, sharper, more relentless, as if both understand that the end is approaching. The final exchanges carry a different weight, where instinct and experience take over completely. Bruce moves with fearless intent, closing distance, with absolute confidence, while Chuck meets him head-on, refusing to yield, matching force with determination. The clash is no longer just physical. It feels like a collision of everything they stand for, compressed into a few decisive seconds, and in that final stretch where movement, timing, and willpower collide, the outcome is decided not just by strength or speed, but by who adapts faster in the moment, who reads deeper, who commits without hesitation, leaving behind a scene that feels less like an ending and more like a moment frozen in time.